Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Are you ready to testify in court? That is a question today, right? What you guys are seeing here is Amico Forever from DJC Game Studios. Now, let me tell you this, guys. Every single person in here except for Rab is an agent of the company, right? If you are testing um, product for this company for free, right? If you are engaging in any type of work for them for free, regardless if you're getting paid or not, and since they don't have any money, we have to expect that they're not getting paid at all, right? Then if you're not getting paid at all, that means, you're giving your money away to millionaires, but that's okay, right? You're giving free labor to millionaires. Why not? You do you. But you are considered an agent of the company. And if you are an agent of the company and you're promoting it, and what's basically right here is an infomercial, finally after, this happened, 3 years ago? I don't even know when finally DJC disclosed that he was an investor in the company, right? That turns this event here basically into an infomercial, right? He's disclosed. Everybody else here, John Alvarado, we know who he is, and it looks like the other folks, and except for Rab, I don't think that Rab is testing anything for them. But if you're working with the company, you're an agent of the company, and if you're an agent of the company, right, and they're going through these shenanigans over here, well, it's going to get interesting. Let me tell you that. First of all, you're not void from criticism, right? All this crying, oh, the people this, people that. Don't be an agent for a company publicly, right? Don't be putting stuff out. Don't be doing labor for free. I mean, if you're on YouTube, you get criticized anyway, right? But if you don't want to be part of this ongoing situation, right? And again, this is not legal or financial advice of any kind, right? But all these companies tend to turn into quote unquote investment opportunities. But when investors get pissed and they get the short end of the stick, they might do something like this, reporting companies to the IRS, to the franchise tax boards, and all this stuff. In this veil that people try to give themselves when they're involved in these kind of situations, like Mike Mullis over here, or anybody else that complains about criticism on the internet, is completely BS, right? This company is in arrears, reportedly, right? They sold their IPs. They're starting a new company to promote. And if you are promoting the company, then you are due criticism. Now, criticism is not, doxing or any of that other crap, right? It's stuff like this. Like, I'm making this video and I'm saying, look, you guys have received things from the company, right? You're working for them. That's a business relationship that you have. That you didn't get paid, well, that's just a dumb mistake. I wouldn't recommend any of my friends to work for free for millionaires, right? I mean, these guys are working for free, and the guy in the middle has made over $500,000 from the games. And you have DJC saying, well, no, I want it to succeed. I'm an investor. I want it to succeed. It's dead. What you invested in doesn't doesn't exist anymore because they got voided by these governments, allegedly, right? They're suspended, right? There isn't anything that he invested in or anybody else invested in that holds any weight. Even the contracts, if they have any type of NDAs, hello, if you have any type of NDAs, do they still hold true if the company is, it can't do business or defend contracts anymore, or, whatever the laws are in Delaware? You should consult your tax attorneys, your legal professional help. But if they can't conduct business, then you have some free consoles. They can't really force you to turn them back unless they settle this, right? They can't even take you to court. Amico LLC can't take you to court. Wouldn't that be something, right? But if these investors get all saucy and want to claim that they're putting properties here and there and trying to avoid responsibility, which is basically what they're doing here, because God knows what they reported. I don't know what they reported. These guys don't know what they reported. It could be anything. And the investigations could be long. Imagine doing, free labor for millionaires, and all of a sudden you get a tax notice from the IRS, right? Because the consoles have value, right? These guys have consoles, right? And for example, back in the day, I was offering $1,000 for a console, right? And what are the points of value here? What do we know about the consoles? Well, we know that they were selling at retail for $399, right? We know that I offered $1,000 for one of these consoles, and there's a shell out there that Fraud Tony bought for $2,300, I think it was. I can't even remember but you can put a valuation, right, to that. Have you guys paid taxes on that? Huh? Hello? Hello, IRS? Right? Can they ask you back for them? No, they can't. Those are theirs. If Chuck has to, then he's got to pay taxes on that. You could be a nice guy and give it back to them, but the NDAs are pretty sure were signed under one of these two entities, which no longer can function. So if the company's dead, what does that mean for the consoles that you have? Could it be a tax hit? I don't know. That's why you need to consult professionals. But if you have investors that are pissed off because they invested $50,000 plus 40,000, 20,000, whatever it is, and they're going to small claims court or just regular court, and they want those consoles at least as compensation. Hello? Hello? Are you ready to get deposed? You're sitting there at home going like, hey, wait a minute. I was just helping. I'm just doing testing. You can't. You can't. I mean, this whole thing is a clown show. These guys are thinking, oh, we're gonna put these together at home. I'm gonna solder them at home or whatever. I think that's what the Atari creep was saying, that he would help them solder them. No, you can't. No, you can't. You're not a company. Are you gonna set up a company and hire employees and get liability insurance? No, you can't even do it under them unless they hire you as an employee, working outside. But the legalities of that are insane, because if somebody gets injured by the product, if it goes on fire, anything, can you imagine the legalities of that would be insane, even if you could do it, right? Even if you could do it, no smart human being would do this, get involved in this kind of situation where the console has certifications that are gone, right? And you sign up to be some sort of subcontractor for them, and now you take on the liability. Are you supposed to go buy insurance, right? Because somebody out there, put on the console and messed up their TV. Now they're going to go sue you personally. No, 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 guys. No, no. Do not listen to YouTubers. Do not listen to, corporate heads that are telling you to do free labor that might cost you money. Can you imagine after all this is said and done, right? Because of the vindictive nature of people that have been burned for $17 million, you get involved into these kind of things, right? Because what do you think these guys are going to do? Think about it. Just let's say, for the sake of argument, right, that these guys, whoever this crew is, they start putting Amico consoles together, right, to deliver to whoever, right? Do you think these guys are going to stay put? Huh? Do you think these guys are going to stay put and just leave it here, or do you think they're going to call Consumer Affairs and say, hey, wait a minute, is this UL still good? Is the HDMI certification still renewed? Right? They're going to go through all that stuff. Right? These guys don't want to negotiate. If they're reporting it to the IRS, right, and to this stuff, this is a shot to the jugular. They want vengeance. They do not want to negotiate. Right? People, and at the end of the day, for all your good efforts and all this stuff that you're thinking that you're doing good for people, you end up in court. That is just nuts. That is absolutely nuts. Right? And what do you think? Do you think that investing in this new entity, Happy Home Games, is a good idea? Huh? Do you think that crowdfunding is going to be... Jeez. Let me tell you guys, there's a separate video that I made for this available to members, where I go through taxes, and the more boring stuff, right? And I'll put it out, I think on June 2nd, I'll put it out. Right? And you can watch that if you want to go into the details. But just big picture here, guys. Number one, you're agents of the company, right? And your public figures appearing in promotions for the product right here. Okay, so you can't claim that you don't want to be addressed in any way. No, I'm addressing agents of the company. I'm addressing employees, unpaid employees, but employees nonetheless. People that are, saying that they're doing QC testing and all that stuff. That's what it is. If you don't want these kind of problems that come with, right? That come with this type of setting where $17 million of capital were burned, and if you think there's not people out there that are completely pissed, you're absolutely insane, because they have no resource. They have no recourse with a fig. That's a profit sharing that they can no longer profit from. And now the work that supposedly has been done under the Amico brand is being passed over to Happy Home Games, and this is what these people are claiming. I don't know what reason they have to do that. Again, I don't know all the paperwork that they have. They might have some snitches on the inside. They might have some, former employees that used to work there. Who knows? Who knows what they have? Who knows what they turn into the IRS? Who knows what they turn into the California tax board? I don't know. But let me tell you something. I wouldn't want to be one of these guys. I would not be wanting to offer to put consoles together and take on that liability, right? Because just because you know how to do something doesn't mean that you get to do it for the public, right? You can get any type of certification, and you just are working something for your own. Yeah, you do that all day. But if you're going to sell it to the public, every state has requirements. You have to have so much insurance. You have to do this. You have to do that. And if you're operating for free, if you decide to work for these companies, right? Think about this. If go ask your tax professional, I'm going to go do free labor for a company, right? I'm not going to charge anything for my work, but this is what I'm going to do for them. They're going to say, okay, well, you don't want to charge for your work, but you still have responsibilities. You're still operating a service or a business or something. They're going to go into that, and they're going to tell you what your liabilities are. And then you're going to be going like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? These are the guys with the money. This is the guy that's getting paid 150 grand. And when he's not getting paid 150 grand, right, the value of his stock or whatever it is going to go up. And this new Happy Home Games stuff, well, why am I doing this? Why am I taking on this liability? This is why this is so ridiculous, guys. Because none of these guys think about it in those terms, right? They're thinking about it now. Hello, are you listening? Are you listening, guys? This is not a good idea. Free labor for millionaires. Hello. But they're never going to listen. And that's the beauty of the Amico. The insanity. That's why you're here. Tapping them. Because $17 million were destroyed. And investors are pissed. And they're dropping dime. And these guys are out here still trying to promote this crap. At their own personal risk. Oh, man, I love it. I love it. I want more of it. I don't want anybody canceled. I want this to keep on going. It's like when you don't have any gas in your car and it's right on E and you just want to keep going to see how far you're going to get. That's exactly this right here. All right, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Take care.